Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Today we're looking at CIFR, Cipher mining. The big question is it a good time to buy now?
We want to hear from you. Subscribe, like, and comment to support the show. And if there's a specific company you want us to look into, leave it in the comments below.
So let's get into the analysis. We are dissecting this U.S.-based player that's really establishing itself in the high-stakes world of industrial-scale data centers.
Right.
They're not just renting space, they're actually developing these massive facilities.
And that industrial scale, that's supposed to be their edge, right? Their competitive advantage.
Exactly. In this kind of energy-intensive business, scale means efficiency, potentially lower power usage effectiveness, the PUE, and crucially, the ability to maybe negotiate better long-term energy contracts.
Which is the biggest cost, always.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
But while the model sounds ambitious, the stock performance, it's been, frankly, blistering recently.
Blistering is putting it mildly. It's fascinating when you look at the momentum here. Just look back 3 months, and especially August. CIFR shares went up over 60%.
60%. And you have to remember, this wasn't just beating the market. It crushed the S&P 500 and its own sector, business services.
Which was actually down during that time.
Exactly. The sector was struggling, trending downward. So CIFR just bucked the trend entirely.
That kind of move, so steep, so fast, it often signals, intense speculation or maybe some really big fundamental shift happening.
Or maybe just a bit of FOMO.
Yeah.
Fear of missing out.
Could be. Definitely signals optimism. But we did see the market kind of take a breath in late October, right? That slight pullback, about 2.7%.
Yeah, that looked like classic profit taking. Or maybe just some caution, some de-risking ahead of the earnings call.
Smart money may be locking in some gains after that run.
Possibly. And that pullback, it leads us right to the core question. Is this momentum actually backed up by solid financials? We need to look past the charts now and dig into the fundamentals. The good news first. The company has shown really robust top-line performance, strong revenue growth. They reported a 19.26% increase in 2024, hitting $151.27 million.
Okay, so revenue is growing, and the market's expecting that to ramp up even more, right?
Oh, dramatically. Analysts have been revising their forecasts upwards pretty aggressively, actually. They're now expecting quarterly revenue around $75.48 million.
And that translates to...
If they hit that number, it's a year-over-year increase of over 200%.
Wow, 200% year over year. That's huge. That suggests the scaling strategy is really kicking into gear.
It does. But, and this is the big but, the massive challenge here, despite that amazing revenue growth, net income is still deeply negative.
How negative are we talking?
We're looking at a loss of $154 million over the trailing 12 months. TTM.
Oof. $154 million loss. That is, that's a serious hurdle. So investors are basically betting this is just the cost of scaling up super fast.
That's the bet, that it's necessary spending to build out that industrial footprint. The key question is, how close are they to actually closing that gap?
Are they getting closer?
They are showing improvement, and that's really the core of the bull case. The Zacks consensus is projecting an EPS, earnings per share, of negative $0.08 for the upcoming report.
Okay, still negative, but...
But that negative 8 cents, it's a 69% improvement compared to the loss in the prior year quarter. So the story, the narrative, is that operational leverage is starting to work. Losses are narrowing.
That trajectory is everything then. If we connect the dots, the whole bullish argument for CIFR really hangs on management executing the scale up perfectly and fast.
Absolutely. Turning that improving efficiency into actual eventual profitability, that's the game.
And this brings us to maybe the biggest risk we found in the analysis, the financial transparency aspect.
Yes, that's a really important point. Well, we see the revenue, we see the net loss. Critical details from the balance sheet, like specifically strong free cash flow generation, or what their current debt levels actually are. That's not readily available.
And for a company spending this much capital, taking on huge losses in a volatile sector, not knowing the debt or the cash flow situation feels risky.
It's a significant issue. You really need that clarity, especially looking out through 2026. How are they funding that $154 million loss? High interest debt, diluting shareholders constantly.
Yeah, without that data, it's a bit of a blind spot, a major red flag, even if you love the growth story.
Exactly. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Let's unpack the technical side. After a 60% jump, what are the charts telling us now?
Well, the first word that comes to mind is volatility. It's high. 19.16% volatility rate.
Yeah, and you see that reflected in the massive 52-week range, right?
Totally. It's traded from a low of, what, $1.86 all the way up to $22. Huge swing. And right now, it's trading near the top of that range, around $19.59.
That wide range just screams market uncertainty about how to value this thing. Is it a tech growth play? Is it tied more to crypto prices like a miner?
Good question. But even with the price near the highs, sentiment indicators still seem, well, generally bullish. The Fear and Greed Index is at 39, which leans towards the bulls.
Okay. What about momentum?
The RSI, the Relative Strength Index, that's pretty neutral, actually, around 58.86. But the moving averages look supportive. It's trading well above both its 50-day and 200-day simple moving averages, the SMAs.
Which technicians usually see as a sign of strength, the bullish signal?
Typically, yes. So what are the professional analysts saying? The ones paid to figure this out?
Well, the consensus rating right now is a moderate buy.
Yeah.
That's based on 15 analysts we track. But, and here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
The average price target is $18.68.
Wait, $18.68? That's below where it's trading right now, around $19.59.
It is slightly below.
So doesn't that usually mean sell? Or at least, hey, this thing has run up too far too fast?
On the surface, yeah, it looks like a warning sign.
Yeah.
But you have to dig into the details. That average masks a huge range in targets. The low is $6, the high is $27.
Wow. Okay, so massive disagreement among analysts. Probably reflects that risk and transparency issue we talked about.
Exactly. But the trend is important here. Analysts have actually been increasing their targets recently overall. So even if the average hasn't caught up to that big 60% August jump yet, the optimism is growing. They're adjusting upwards, just maybe cautiously.
That's a key nuance. It's not like the targets are stagnant or falling. They're rising, just lagging the price action.
Right. And we also see some confidence reflected in institutional ownership, which often moves these stocks.
How many funds are in?
410 funds hold positions. And that number increased by 6.77% in the last quarter.
So big money was still adding, or at least holding on, even after that big rally. Suggests they think there's more room to run.
It suggests they still believe in the story, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk catalysts. What's coming up in the next 3 months or so that could really move the needle? Because this period feels pretty critical.
Absolutely make or break, potentially. The biggest one, clearly, is the Q3 2025 earnings release. That's set for November 3rd.
The moment of truth.
Pretty much. Everyone will be watching. Does that huge revenue growth continue? And maybe even more critical, does the net loss narrow as much as expected? Meeting those heightened expectations is key.
A miss there after the run-up could be really painful.
Definitely could trigger a sharp correction. But earnings aren't the only thing.
Right. What else is on the calendar?
We've got the major ETF quarterly rebalancing on November 12th.
Ah, index inclusion potential.
Exactly. If CIFR gets added or its weighting increases in key ETFs, that forces funds tracking those indexes to buy shares, creates automatic demand.
Which can definitely boost the price, regardless of fundamentals sometimes.
And then we have a couple of operational dates. December 1st is the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday mining report. Gives us a glimpse into their operational efficiency.
See how the data centers were actually performing.
Yeah. And then December 20th, we get the institutional 13F filings. That's where we see if those 410 funds kept buying, held steady, or maybe started selling in Q4, shows what the big players actually did.
Always crucial to track that institutional flow. Now, beyond the set dates, there's always this speculative buzz, right? The rumors that can drive short-term pops or drops.
Always. What's swirling around CIFR?
Well, one persistent rumor is a potential acquisition. Maybe a larger crypto firm wanting to buy up that U.S. data center footprint. That would obviously mean a quick premium for shareholders.
Anything else?
There's also chatter about a possible big hardware purchase GPUs, or more likely ASICs planned for early 2026.
ASICs being those specialized mining chips.
Exactly. A big order would signal really aggressive expansion plans for next year.
Makes sense.
Then there's softer stuff like potential inclusion in ESG or blockchain-focused ETFs, which broadens the investor base. And talk about maybe partnering with renewable energy providers to boost their ESG profile. That's increasingly important.
Okay, so putting it all together. The growth potential, the scale, the momentum, but also the huge losses and that transparency question. Where does the final thesis land?
It lands pretty firmly in the high-risk, high-reward bullish camp. We're seeing what amounts to an overall bullish rating, maybe like an 8 out of 10.
Okay. And that's driven mainly by the industry itself growing, right? The demand for data centers.
Yeah, that structural growth is undeniable.
Yeah.
Plus, the company's specific expansion plans and, their potential to carve out a dominant position if they execute well.
So who is this stock for then? What's the time frame?
It seems potentially attractive for a couple of different approaches, actually. Short-term traders might play the volatility around earnings and those catalyst dates we mentioned. But also, there's a case for long-term investors who really believe in the sector's growth and think CIFR can become a leader, and crucially, manage that tricky transition to profitability.
Definitely not a stock for conservative investors, though. High growth, high volatility, and these next few months feel really critical for proving their execution.
Absolutely. Ultimately, the outlook leans positive because of the scale and the market opportunity. But investors must keep a close eye on, one, the execution risks hitting those forecasts, and two, demanding much better financial transparency through 2026, especially around debt and actual free cash flow.